seagulls follow trawler. It's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Talking nonsense. So I thought, no, enough's enough. Why should I put up with that? Don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down. Welcome aboard the Boise Bus. It's episode 200. 200 times I've said yes, and that annoying as fuck voice. 200 times we've picked you passengers up. 200 times we've talked some shit about the Celtic, and the bus keeps getting busier and busier. But tonight it's not about the Boise Bus doing 200 episodes, because there's going to be another landmark fucking somewhere along the line that I'll be able to climb to and try and celebrate our success, man. Sometimes, these landmarks can become a wee bit, to a penny. But anyway, 200 shows. Oh, good. Thanks for all of you managing to last that long. It is pretty impressive. I think the next landmark will be a year of the Boise Bus on the 6th of December. So we need to come up with a plan for that. Anyway, tonight we've got a busy T.N.F. the night we hand over the keys to the passengers, and we will be doing a bit of that tonight as always. But we're joined tonight by Phil McGinley, who drove the bus for PMP last night. Thanks again for that, Phil. Good to have you on board. Mark Kearney, Judge Kearney, if you will, is here, as is Connor Carr at the bottom. Lads, how are we all doing?
Good, mate. Glad to be back on, my friend. Happy 200 as well, mate. 200 not out.
200 not out, Mark Kearney. I bet you never gave the bus any chance of making 200 shows, big man, because I definitely didn't, but here we are.
No, always keen, mate. We're always keen to get these shows aired as soon as possible. Good Celtic content. I'm looking forward to the 2000 show, mate, to be honest.
Yes, mate.
Yes.
That's the ambition we're looking for. That's Champions League ambition. Connor Carr, how's it going, big man? Good to have you on.
I'm good, mate. How's everybody else doing? Things are going well, so 200 and keep going, so we'll just keep going ahead like we always do.
Fantastic.
If you build it, they will come. Is that not the same?
That's it. Something like that, mate. Something like that. If you drive it, people will come. I think it's the new one. I don't know. Tattoo Face kicks us off. More generosity for you, big man. And he's off to Brazil tomorrow, representing the hoops. I like it, Tattoo Face 77. And thank you very much for the kind donation, mate. Very kind. And less of the comparisons to Club 1872 Red Scotland. Thank you. Tattoo Face is just being a kind passenger on the bus. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not already, smash the like button, the subscribe button, the share button,
the bell button if you want notifications, and if you want to become a member, like so many of you have, you're welcome to do that as well. It's $1.99 a month. It's completely optional. All the content remains free, as you know. It's my first night on since Monday. For a 2-night break. It's been a long time for me not to be spouting shite about Celtic. So it's good to be back in the driver's seat, albeit with the keys in the passenger's hands tonight, and reflect. Obviously, last night was round 2 of the Champions League. And with that came, I think, a very similar performance to the one against Real Madrid. I've seen also similar traits to the one against Real Madrid. And I will go into what my reasons for that are. But we got a point better though, a point more than what we got from Real Madrid, which is always encouraging. But got to say, 1 point from 2 games isn't the best optics, if you want to call it that, you could say, when you look at the table. But we're not bottom, and I think a lot of us took third place before it. Phil, you were on last night, so I'll come to you last tonight. Matt, come to you, big man. Champions League aspirations, ambitions, hopes. Me and you have went back and forth numerous times, mate, and had good debate about what we expect, what expectations we should have, what we want to see from Celtic in Europe's Premier competition. I think performance-wise, we're 100% there. I think the points tally, though, shows that we're still short. It's a mixed bag right now, isn't it?
Aye, definitely. I mean, I think if you take away the opponents last week and you just looked at the game in isolation, take away the badge they're wearing, boys. I think that's the best thing you can do in Europe is just play the opponent, know the actual the crest on their badge, on their shirt, you know what I mean? And I think you can be intimidated by that. So I'm just going to look at the 2 performances on merit. I think for 3 out of the 4 halves of football, Celtic more than matched their opposition. So I think what I was looking forward to, I wanted to see how our brand of football, with the players we've got, would be able to cope in Europe. And judging by what I've seen so far, albeit a home tie against Madrid and away to a neutral venue against Shakhtar, I think we've coped pretty well. I don't think there's a major disparity in what Celtic do in Scotland to what we're doing in Europe so far. I think I still maintain the fact that I think the group's wide open. I said from the very beginning that the teams finishing second and third and progressing could do so with minimum points, and I stick by that. I think Madrid's got to take. I think Madrid's going to be qualified by match day 4. I've been taking that, but the good thing about for Celtic is with a brand of football, I think there's goals in every match.
Yes.
And take the 2 games in isolation, which I've just said I like to do. I think I'm encouraged with the fact that Celtic have played their own type of football, but it's been very non-Celtic. I've seen Celtic teams under Rodgers going away in Europe and being very naive with their tactics. You've seen a lot of pressing yesterday by Angie's team, and they were conserving energy. It was pretty good to watch. They had the players in good positions, but they weren't gone hell for leather. And that just shows you that he's adapting a wee bit away from home, certainly in Europe.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of positive things, Connor, to take from the performances. And Mark's got a great point there where he says, you've got to look at the performances on merit and not because of who the opposition were as such, because you can go down, sort of garden paths with that and then start making excuses when perhaps you shouldn't be making excuses. And then, of course, sort of push the unlucky card as well, sometimes a wee bit more than necessary. So I think that's a good point, and I think it's a good competitive sort of mentality to have, to be fair as well, because we spoke a lot before this group stage started that I wanted Celtic not to just go there to Champions League and we're all there and all that shite. I wanted us to go there and compete and show that we're at that table for a reason, Connor. Now, what do you think after 2 games? Because the way I want to I want to talk about, this, I'm stealing my own words now. The way I want to talk about this group campaign, I want to talk about it over the 6 games. And as we go, we'll be doing it, is about gauging the progress now, or the process, I should say, gauging the process, Connor, as opposed to just trusting the process. I think trust the process is a blind terminology that has been used right now as some sort of safety blanket. So if anything goes wrong, all the fans are too emotionally, indebted to Ange and too emotionally bought deep with Ange, and probably a lot of the players that they've all spent all night writing songs about. I think their emotions are so in the road now. I think a lot of them now, they'll just say, trust the process, trust the process. It's like a wee safety blanket that means, right, I know it was shite and you know it was shite, but we've got this wee phrase, trust the process, that gets you out of jail. Well, I think this Champions League campaign, Postecoglou's now been in the job for 14, 15 months. We've seen the backing he's had from the board, apparently, remember? Wasn't like to keep my eye on them, so you can't have it both ways. He's obviously been backed, if that's the case. So if he's been backed as well as what everyone was telling me on Twitter a couple of months ago, and he's had 15 months there, and you're talking about progression here. We're now at the Champions table. We've got a group that every one of our fans, well, okay, we've got a chance here. I think this group is now going to be gauge the process over the 6 games. Let's gauge it. Let's start holding it as some sort of, barometer as to where we are right now. Don't even know if that was the right word there. But we are going to use it as something to we're going to gauge the process, Connor. That's what I want to do on the bus anyway. And so far, after 2 games, how are you gauging the process? You been encouraged?
I think I've seen a lot of progress compared to not even just from last year, but from a lot of previous Champions League campaigns. Now, typically, Celtic last couple of times we were in the Champions League, we would always get the group of death, and we don't have that now. But I think even going into this Champions League campaign, we've had as a fan base as well as I'd say from the team, we've had a lot harder and a lot better of a mentality going in towards it. We obviously after the Rangers game, everybody was absolutely buzzing, and it was easy to get carried away. But when a few days later, when I'd calmed myself down and I looked at the optics and I looked at how things were looking, I still genuinely thought in my heart of hearts that we could have got a result against Real Madrid. And we've seen it on the park because we had brilliant chances. I mean, just didn't take them on the night. And maybe nerves got to some of the younger players in the squad, like Abada and stuff like that. But I think that's only natural. But I'm seeing definite progress now. And the result last night, while can be disappointing, could be good, we don't know yet. I'd say it's maybe a bit too early to say.
I agree with that.
I think it all depends on what happens against Leipzig, because we could be ruining the chance. Real Madrid, they always, I don't know why, always in the group stage, they always have that one shaky result. And I'm just hoping that maybe this is the year where they don't. They just beat everybody and they're at the top and they get however many points, because you don't want to be off maybe a loss and then a win against Leipzig and then maybe another draw against Shakhtar and hoping to get a result against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu.
That's true.
But I think it's a little bit too early to say, but from what I'm seeing so far, I'm seeing definite progress and I'm quite happy with it. Just a couple of little things that, could be improved here and there. But I think we're definitely seeing steps in the right direction when it comes to the, Celtic in the Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Phil, again, I'll come to you on it. We're going to be gauging the process, and as opposed to just blindly trusting it. Rooster says performances are a much better indicator than results. Hard to take much, though, from 6 results. The sample size very small. I don't think we're looking at it, though, as it's only from these 6 results. Like I was saying, it's taking it into consideration now the time that he's been at the helm, the squad that has been allowed to be put together, the undoubted domestic domination that we've shown by just racking up 38 league games unbeaten, the equivalent of a full season. I then think you do go into the territory where, what else are you meant to base it against? Because group stage football, guess what? It's always going to be 6 games, Phil. It's never going to be any other different amount. So that is what you've kind of got to compare it. And whether that be unfair or not, at the end of the day, how you perform and how many points you get in a group stage environment is going to dictate whether you qualify from the group or not. Now, I don't think necessarily qualification from the group, Phil, would be what I would then go, we've definitely made progress. I think we're taking into account the performances and whether they've been better, they've been improved, they've been better. Game management, has that improved? Has that got better? Silly goals being conceded, has that improved? Has that got better? taking our chances? Has that improved? Has that got all these different factors? But unfortunately, the way it works is whether it's Conference League, Europa League, Champions League, European football, I think is the right thing to be gauging Celtic's progress by. What do those three competitions have in common? 6 matches in group stage football. Whether it be a small amount of games or not, and whether it be unfair, well, that's just tough titties, I'm afraid, because for me, that's the only option we've got. We didn't have any qualifiers to gauge by, so it's not like we could say, oh, well, he did something that fucking we've struggled to do because we were automatically in. These are the 6 games we've got, Phil. We on the bus are going to gauge the process and no longer just blindly trust the process. I think that's fair.
I would go on with that, yeah, because obviously last night I was on hosting the PMP, and my initial reaction before we came on when I spoke to Connor and Terry was I was really conflicted because beforehand, again, just going back and basing it on previous years, because Celtic, no hiding from it, have had quite a minging record away from home in Europe in any competition that they've played. It's very rare, like the rare unicorn that comes along when we get an away win. So when I was the idea of a point going into that game last night, I was like, yeah, I'll settle for that. Should I have that mentality? Probably not, but sadly, that's the way we find ourselves. And when I saw it actually play out and saw us get a point, at the end of it, like most people, Connor particularly last night, it was like, I can't believe we've not won that. Do I see progress in for this early stage? I would say yeah, because I mean, look at last season. A lot of people forget this. We actually got 9 points in the Europa League last season. So we actually did no too bad. Like I know it's a Bodo Glint game will stand out when we drop down into the knockout stage. And so many people go on about losing knockout games and so forth. That's something we'll hopefully deal with in due course. But in terms of group stage football, we did come away with 9 points last season. Now we've went up to the next tier. And so far in the 2 games, we've definitely held our own. Last night, we more than held our own and definitely should have won the game. I think there was a comment last night as well that said, when was the last time we played an away game in the Champions League and genuinely dominated the game like that? I don't think ever. I mean, the 3-0 win against Anderlecht years ago was kind of a counter-attack, smash and grab from Celtic that night. We weren't even that dominant that night. So
that's true.
Already at this stage, I feel like, yeah, I'm starting to see some shoots of progress. So, yeah, I'm quite positive about it right now.
It might sound like I'm being all negative. What I'm trying to do is bring a level of balance to the debate, because if you want my opinion on it, none of you probably do, but I'll give you it anyway. But I genuinely do believe that there's been progress so far in the European displays. I think defensively, I know we conceded 3 against Real Madrid. I don't care what team it is in the world. That can happen, right? And I didn't think our defence played particularly badly, albeit I thought one was targeted again last night, and Mark can guess who that was. But he is targeted. There's no 2 ways about it. But I do think defensively we're a tighter unit than what we were in Europe last year. I think the personnel's improved as well, you could argue. And Greg Taylor's went from, squad player, perhaps second choice this season. He's in the form of his life, and it's brilliant to see. And it just shows you what a run of games can do for someone. If maybe sometimes it's through default that he's got these run of games, who cares? I think he's putting in great performances. I think the midfield's shown, Cal McGregor's shown he's a Champions League player. And actually, again, not to be negative, but you get frustrated at how many years he's missed of this competition throughout his career, He's really more than capable at this level. I liked Connor's point with the goal. We'll come to the goals and all that shit. But I like that when he didn't need to dive in. That was true. But on the whole, I thought he was still very impressive. I actually think there has been progress made. I think the points aren't on the board. They'll be frustrating Ange. I think it'll be frustrating the players. It's definitely a small frustration of mine. But all that said, I think when you're getting frustrated at maybe not getting something at home to Real Madrid, I think when you're getting frustrated at only taking a point away from home in Poland, playing, the Ukrainian champions, I think that tells me there must be progress made in my head. Do you know what I mean? If that's beginning to frustrate you. So expectations have clearly, whether it be consciously or subconsciously, risen. That would tell me, when I'm gauging the process, that there has been shoots of progress. But at the end of the day, it's also results driven. Now, that has to be as well part of the gauge, because mentality comes into this. A performance can look great, but if you're shiting the bed every time you get a one-on-one, or a clean shot at goal from 8 yards out, you need to know when to slide in and finish at the back post. If you can't tap in one from 3 yards and these start building up, then that's when maybe the mentality. I think ability-wise, Celtic can compete at the top table. And I think they've proved that in the first 2 games already, and I think they'll continue to do so, Mark, and the rest of the journey throughout this group. But there has to be a mentality shift as well. I'm going to give you 2 examples of it. I think our opportunities that have been gilt-edged in front of goal, I think I've shown, Giakoumakis doesn't miss that domestically. And I love chaos, but he doesn't miss that domestically. So they need to shake off this. We're in the Champions League thing now. We're in the nitty-gritty. There's, you're wet behind the ears, and all that. It's like 2 games into it now. You need to start feeling like you belong there and taking these gilt-edged chances. Secondly, I thought we were lucky not to be 2 down. And again, it would have been 2 goals in quick succession. And I did think there was a 10-minute phase, in particular in that second half, after we conceded, where we have to be a wee bit stronger. And we have to, if we are going to face a wave, then we have to keep trying to do what we do best. I think Celtic sat in, they went playing the opposite type of football. But on all the different zones we conceded a goal, this team's always going to concede goals. So they have to be stronger, I think, mentally in 2 different aspects. But yeah, my honest takeaway is I do think there's been signs of progress. I am happy with what we've done so far. Big shout out as well before I come to you, Mark, to Shane Fox, newest member on the YouTube channel. Yes, Shane, mate. I appreciate it and welcome aboard the bus. Mark, your takeaway from that, mate.
I totally agree with you, mate. This big game composure that some of the elite players have got just instinctively. I spoke about it a few weeks ago when we played Hearts at Celtic Park. There was a chance they were through 1-on-1 and the guy scuffed it 4, 5, 6 yards wide. And I said on the show, if that's at Tynecastle, he scores that. And these are the things that big in domestic matches, a lot of the chances are found in the back of the net. Even Maeda, I'm not going to label the fact I don't think he's a football player really, but some of the chances that he's missed, for talking sake, the one against Real Madrid in Europe, he scores that in Scotland. I think also, as you said, Giakoumakis, he scores that as well, albeit I think it was whiskers away. I think there was a camera angle, the 3rd or 4th angle that showed you that it nearly took a lick of paint off the post. But
I know.
And this is
we
the
would have loved
thing,
him
boys.
to have scored it, eh? We would have
So
loved
would
him to
I.
have scored it.
I love to have scored it because I think it will just justify what we all think. The guy should be playing in certain matches. I think Kyogo and Giakoumakis are horses for courses, and I think they've got to play in certain matches. But as we all know, there's certain players that are guaranteed to start, and there's no point us talking about it. No, I think the big game composure comes from in front of goal, and also when you lose a goal. I think since I've been watching Celtic in Europe, I've seen us come from a steady position. Then 3 minutes later, we've lost 2 goals, or sometimes even 3 goals. I don't know, it's something as a club we just can't shake off. And ironically, I feel like under Ange, it's been the opposite. I feel like Celtic have been deadly when other teams have scored against us domestically. And I think we've been deadly after we've just scored an opener. Constantly you see us scoring a goal, and then within maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, we'll get corner kicks. Or we've got another shot at goal. We're hitting the other team's goal pretty hard. So it was kind of a wee eye-opener to see it happening to us, and just a wee reminder at the level we're playing it. I'm pretty sure Shakhtar Donetsk.
That's fair.
I think Shakhtar Donetsk yesterday, they were probably surprised at how good we actually were. In fact, no, I'll rephrase that. I think they were surprised at how much we imposed our style of play on them. I don't think they were expecting that. I think Madrid's quality kind of masked how aggressive we are. You know what I mean? Madrid were able to cope with it. And in the second half, it looked like we were... I mean, I was waiting for the second half drop-off. I think we were all waiting for the second half drop-off in this chat, and it didn't come. Celtic just looked just as fit and just as hungry as the first half. I think that shocked Shakhtar. I think it shocked their management. The guy who was trying to pretend he was Jurgen Klopp. It was quite embarrassing watching him dress up for Halloween. Like
I said to my dad
Klopp.
watching it.
It was embarrassing, Phil. I actually wanted... I mean, this is a grown man, and he was dressed up like I take it as his idol. He was jumping about the dug like he was Jurgen Klopp. It was, as I say, it was like Halloween. It was embarrassing.
He was trying to mimic him. You're right.
Mate, I said just because the guy wears glasses and a skip cap doesn't mean he's trying to impersonate him. But he was actually trying to impersonate him. You could see it.
It was like,
see it.
Yep.
It was like, tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be Jurgen Klopp.
Mate, if I come in the show on Sunday with after I know on the sunbeds with gold chains, I think I'm Mr. T. I'm trying to show off. You know what I mean? I don't think for a minute he's filled any cunt. You know what I mean? He's without a shadow of doubt looked in the mirror and went, "I'm Jurgen Klopp." He was more like fucking Jurgen Klinsmann as a manager rather than Jurgen Klopp. But no, I'm totally with you, boys. I think we have got to, and it's not a criticism. It's just something it's an observation. We've got to get that composure for the big games. It's not something that we're saying that Celtic have not got within their capabilities. It's a wee nitpick, and that's good that we're nitpicking, because I think if Celtic had took their chances, what we would normally do in Scotland, I think we would have had 4 points just by now. I really do.
I agree with you, Matt. I think you're spot on. I do. And I mean, Connor, it leads us to David Kelly's point, and thanks for jumping on the bus, David, as always. He says we've got 1 goal from 2 games, and it was an own goal. Finishing chances is now the big issue. I'd have taken that, comparing it to last season when we were actually shipping goals to average teams. He's got a point here. And there's 2 ways looking at it. You can be disappointed that we didn't go into half-time against Real Madrid in the lead, and does that change the complexion of the second half? Well, of course it does. You can also look at it and go, well, was that 2 points dropped last night? Of course you can. But I also think that wee bit of hope that we're born to have as Celtic fans, I think it means as well, with 4 games left in this group stage, and it's, okay, let's say 3, right? Well, I'll not include the Bernabeu, as you rightfully pointed out, Connor, because getting Sanford there is going to be an uphill task. But see, when you look at the other 3, could someone be on the end of a hiding in here once this all clicks? And that would be a landmark thing for Celtic to give someone, a proper pasting in the Champions League. I think it could get rid of whatever, cobwebs there are of Celtic as a Champions League side. I think it could be a real kickstart in this campaign for some of the players that, let's be honest, there's not much experience of this competition across the team. There really isn't. So when you think of a landmark result, sound the klaxon. Sound that klaxon. Because when we beat Rangers 6-2, that was the kickstart. You knew the team had started well. You knew there was a new belief. And then that 6-2 win, it was like, right, we're fucking here now. Do you know what I mean? And I think the way Celtic are creating those chances right now, the way Celtic are playing right now, if all the things are to combine, someone could be on the wrong end of a pasting. And David's right. That's a far healthier problem than going, holy fuck, just try and keep it tight at the back. How many goals are we going to concede tonight? And we've got to be honest, Celtic conceded far too many in Europe last season. Far too many. With too much ease. And I am very much hoping that, my theory is right. And maybe, just maybe, if it all does come together, and hopefully in one of the next 3 games when it matters and it means something, someone could be on the wrong end of a Celtic doing that we've dished out so many times domestically.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of brewing now. And if I was to guess one of the teams that it would happen to, I would, because I don't know, I've not watched any how Leipzig are playing, so I couldn't comment on them. But for what I've seen so far, it's more than likely probably going to be Shakhtar at Celtic Park. But I mean, we're all saying, not it's going to happen at the Bernabeu, but I don't know why. There's something about this team. I mean, to be fair, I think it has been heavy. The team and the manager has been, the connection and the way we all feel about them is heavily romanticised. But Celtic are famous for having these legendary moments in Europe, and they don't come very often. And I feel like we've been in the Champions League for 5 years. Maybe now's one of the times where we do get that absolutely incredible result. So for all we know, we might, be waiting to the last game in the Bernabeu to get through the group, and then end up going doing it. But I mean, you can never judge with these, because Europe's an absolute basket case, especially the Champions League, because you never know what's going to happen around the corner. Even the Europa League. I mean, Lazio got beat 5-1 of Midtjylland earlier.
Wow.
So,
wow, okay.
Porto got beat 3-0 off Club Brugge.
That's right, 4-0.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I wouldn't count, and Celtic are miles better than clubs like Midtjylland and Club Brugge. So, and those in Porto and Lazio are not, diddies by any stretch of the imagination. So, Celtic are more than capable of taking some heavy scalps in Europe, especially this Celtic team, because I fully believe in them. So, but I'm praying that, you know, that we can take a step up and then go up a gear and give somebody an absolute pasting, because it'll be a marker. Because if we do progress from the group and we do give somebody an absolute pace and have an absolutely brilliant performance, then there'll be, for once, the media will not be able to swing it any other way, which but positive in terms of Celtic in Europe, because the media love lambasting Celtic in Europe, despite the fact that last season they finished on higher points in the group than the Rangers, and they had a much tougher group, but they were just unlucky. So, and we were Celtic, the first team in the world to get put out of 3 European competitions in a row, when it wasn't actually factually correct. But you know, they don't tell the media that because it doesn't suit the narrative. So, but you know, I keep going on tangents. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, man. You're fine.
I do really hope we give something absolute pace, and then I do hope it's either Midtjylland or RB Leipzig, or, you know, it could be one of those legendary nights where it could be Real Madrid at the Bernabeu if they put their B team out and they're already qualified. But, you know, we'll just have to wait and see. It's too early to tell for me.
I don't know what tournament we're playing Midtjylland in, but anyway, hopefully
Did I say Midtjylland there?
They were on your mind after you mentioned them 2 minutes ago.
Who did I say?
Midtjylland and
Leipzig and Midtjylland. That would be interesting.
That's me only in the water this week as well.
Don't worry about it, mate. I'm only teasing. I mean, Phil, this is the thing. 2 ways to look at it. Obviously, you know, the positive way is the easier way. And it's always the more fun way to go. Could we be on the verge of handing out a pasting in the Champions League? I could make that the headline of the show. You know, T.N.F. Are Celtic on brink of battering a team in Champions League, and get all my hashtags in and try and get all the... But I mean, the reality is on the Boise Bus, mate, we look at everything very balanced. That coin has 2 sides on it for a reason. So we've looked at, you know, heads. Let's look at tails. Could Celtic finish, you know, the 6 games and rue these missed opportunities, and they do carry on for the next 4 games? That would be a real missed opportunity for me. A few factors in that, like I touched on earlier. All the fans, and rightfully so, I think, to a degree, thought it was the right group. It was a good group. It was a group we could compete in, right? So far, after the first 2 displays, we've proven it's a group we can more than compete in. The other teams are taking points off each other, bar Real Madrid, but we're now seeing, you know, Leipzig are on 0 points, but last night the narrative was no one thinks Shakhtar will win another point. So therefore, Leipzig were expecting to gain points along the way. Celtic were expecting to gain points along the way, and Shakhtar have 4 on the board already. Could missed opportunities be our downfall? Because I think so far, I wouldn't call it downfall after 2 games, right? Let's be real here. But it's been missed opportunities that have been the only reason why we've not got more points on the board than we do. And whilst you've got Leipzig under a new manager, Marco Rose, and maybe getting that bounce back ability, it sounds like they only got beat 1-0 by Real Madrid, didn't they? So they must have done all right over there.
2, but it was a late second goal at stoppage time. So
it was, it was a wee bit half cut by then. Anyway, like, you would have to say Leipzig, you're expecting to be a bit of a different force in the group. Now they've got the new management structure, the management team in. And that, what he did at Salzburg, I mean, I'm sure we're all still licking our wounds from that from a few years ago. Fucking hell, no one's seen that coming. Then you're looking at Shakhtar, who I didn't think were up great shakes last night. But again, we've came away with a point. Away in Europe, that is a good result for us in the Champions League, a point. But your eyes don't lie. And when you watch the game, you go, it's fucking chance after chance, really, when you look at the highlights. You know what I mean? Back, which I watched tonight before we came on, I thought, when you see it condensed like that, you realise that was an opportunity. Now, I'm not panicking over it. 4 games to get it right. My worry would be if in 4 games' time, it would be not about whether Celtic are going to hand out a doing. It's, you know, the group's over and we didn't hand out any doings. In fact, we kept making the same mistake and not taking our opportunities.
It's, as I said earlier on, it's a good worry to have if long as you're making chances, especially at this level. But as we've said before, and you saw it last week against Real, if you don't take those chances, you're going to get punished. It's the same at the other end. If you make a small mistake at the back, if we're playing a Dundee United or a Motherwell in the SPFL, it's fine. We'll recover from it. But you make a mistake at this level, they're going to get punished. So, see, when you're going forward, last night, obviously, we had chance after chance after chance. Even before Shakhtar got their goal and we went 1-up, if we got a second goal in that game, dynamic completely changes. We go on and win that comfortably. But in the end, we didn't take our chances. And literally, with their first chance, their first sniff at goal, they go and score. And that's a bit of a familiar story for Celtic. Now, when it comes to the whole can Celtic hand out a doing, I'm not too sure if we can, but at the end of the day, it's not something that's high on my priority as a fan. I would take a scrappy 1-0 in every single game from now and no doubt about it. I did see something today about, right, this whole try to qualify with the group, a lot of it is relying on Real Madrid have got to win every game. And as Terry said last night, they've always got a bit of a cropper of a result in them. But somebody had said on Twitter today, if Real Madrid win the next 3 games, so that's a doubleheader with Shakhtar and Leipzig, and Celtic win the 2 home games with Shakhtar and Leipzig, forget the away game with Leipzig. If that happens, Celtic have guaranteed at least 3rd place. But we need Real Madrid to do everything. And as I said last night when Terry was talking about, we'll talk about going over some scenarios. Celtic being Celtic, there's always going to be a span on the works, and you just know that it won't be as cut and dry as that, unfortunately. But when I did read that, it probably did make me think, maybe I was starting to believe.
That tickles you a wee bit, though. I get you, because it's giving you sort of a realistic scenario of events that could happen.
And then maybe they changed the ruling where it's no longer goal difference anymore, it's your record against. So the way it would work out is going into fixture 6, if we've beaten Shakhtar and Leipzig at home, and Real Madrid have won those 3 games on the bounce, and Shakhtar can't finish ahead of us, even if they were on the same points with a better goal difference. So there's that there, but I say we're relying on another team to do us favours, and that's always a dangerous game, even if it is Real Madrid. But yeah, in terms of process, we're still in a good position. I think overall, once the dust had settled, I was like, okay, it's not perfect. Obviously, we could have definitely got the 3 points, but I still feel like, yeah, we're still sitting okay just now. And yeah, we'll just this double header with Leipzig, unknown quantity with the new manager in charge. I'm hoping they don't get too much a new manager bounce. I really don't. But yeah, obviously it's a few weeks away now. So
now the good news is, Mark, if Phil's theory is right, we've got nothing to worry about whether it be second or third. We'll finish second because Tony Cruz, I mean, he just loves Celtic's atmosphere. He loves it so much, and he thinks they'll lie down to us over in the Bernabeu. We'll get up, because we're all friends these days, eh? Fucking, I just find it patronising guff, you know what I mean? But anyway.
That's my fucking nothing.
He'll not give one. He doesn't give 1-5. Oh yeah, it was amazing. It's like, I get it, but we're still in your group and you're patronising us about atmosphere and that. Like, I just think that's him already. What he's really saying is they've got no chance of beating us at the home game. Because otherwise, you wouldn't come up with all that stuff. If it was a real competitive fixture, you thought they were on some sort of, on some sort of par with us or some sort of threat to us. You save all that pish. You know what I mean? Until your meetings are out the way or you've retired. Do you know what I mean? Rather than whilst they're still a group rival. But then, that's the way it is in the modern game. We'll move on a wee bit because it's back to your favourite fixtures, Mr. Kearney, and that is domestic bread and butter league duty. What's the St Mirren Park called now? It's got a mad name, isn't it?
I still call it Love Street. I generally still call it Love Street.
It's not Love Street now.
It's not even on Love Street anymore.
No.
But the last time I heard it was the city of Paisley 2021 stadium or something. They were trying to City of Culture Stadium. They were trying to. They were
making a bid for the City of Culture. That's right.
But it's not a city. It's actually a town. Paisley's a city. If you get a town hall, you're a town. Paisley's a town. But they were trying to become the City of Culture.
Trying too hard.
You can't just invent your own status, boys. You can't. I can't just say Glasgow's a country because I fancy it.
A question for you, though, Mark. Only question very quickly, mate. Just a wee curveball, mate. Just into the mix.
Go for it.
Would you allow Celtic to sell the naming rights to their stadium?
No. I had a conversation with my granda. God rest him, a few years ago. He was talking about we used to be talking to papers about Rangers changing Ibrox to some other stadium name to raise funds, and he's like, you would still call it Ibrox. I was like, no, Granda. I was like, there's no way. To be honest with you, I'm a traditionalist. I told you before, like I'm
Yep.
happy Celtic never changed their strip, green and white hoops, never change her, no sponsors, nothing. That would just do me forever. But no, I think it's Celtic Park for me. It's not even Parkhead, it's Celtic Park. And I heard, I don't know if it was High when Arsenal, so they changed for Highbury. So that it's Phil just said there, you can't call it Highbury if you're in a different part of London. You know, it's going to change, but they could have killed. So they get away with that one. Then they can't change it to the Emirates because it's their official sponsor. And they probably made millions. They probably still to this day make millions each year at it. I understand that, but if we ever get to that level, sorry, Boise.
I think it'd be interesting if Emirates have ever asked Celtics. That was the exact name because they've got obviously the Emirates Arena across the road. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we have asked Celtic at some point. Oh, what do you
I don't think I would
that
be doing well because I was thinking recently about all these big consortiums that take over these clubs. We all know about the pitfalls at Newcastle and whether that's kind of ethical in the Man City and the rest of it. And I think all these kind of places, these oil-rich countries, and how shady their history is, etc., and how they got their money and the things they go in their countries. And I don't know whether I don't think Celtic fans, the way we are, you know, would put up with that. I don't think it would be allowed. I don't think we would allow it. You know, I don't think something like that just wouldn't sit right with Celtic fans. I don't think. I mean, you know,
no, I agree.
We think some people think they're Che Guevara as it is. You know what I mean? I didn't think they even know who Che Guevara was, or you know what I mean, or what he was actually up to. They just seem to have T-shirts with his name on it, and I don't think they get any idea what the guy's history is. You know, I really fucking don't. I think like they're bam pots, to be quite honest with you. But no, boys, like fuck, back to St Mirren. Aye, St Mirren. No, I don't know what the stadium's called, Phil. I think it might be called the Global Energy Stadium. I think that could be something. I don't know what it's called. Fuck's sake. But the main football is back.
The
Che Guevara
Stadium. Aye.
I mean, for fuck's sake. The Fidel Castro Arena. That's what we'll call it. No, I don't even know where I'm going with this, man. But I think the St Mirren game. Listen, to be honest with you, I was actually looking forward to this game this Sunday. They've cut their allocation, and I was actually just through my utter nosiness. We went to their website earlier on to see what the tickets are like, and I couldn't actually get as far as to go and buy one. I would have got to try and buy one anyway, but as bold as brass, right on the ticket pages, your voluntary £30 donation. And I think we spoke about this the day it was announced, the brass snake of that club, asking their fans if it was okay to no sell tickets to the Celtic fans, but then ask for a £30 donation instead. So I've been looking forward to this game ever since all that carry on happened. You know, I think it's going to be a half empty stadium, but it's a wee edge on it for me. I think the fans are going to be right up for it. I think the players are right up for it as well. Nice wee tidy stadium. I've been there a few times. I think Celtic will show up for a normal day. I think you might see big chaos get a start. I think he's due a start. I think Haksabanovic, my dad seems to think that he was invisible last night. I think my dad said that to me. I think it was, but he set a goal up. I mean, he was involved in the goal, and you can't gauge 45 minutes against a pretty good level of opposition. And you know, I can just say as well. I said today, Maida's getting dropped just recently for a couple of games, but I've noticed that his replacement is getting hooked at half time for 45 minutes of mediocre football. I think Abada was whipped off the Champions League against Madrid, and so was Haksabanovic. I don't know if that's to preserve energy and to reduce this second half drop off that we've spoke about, because that could be associated to it is bringing on fresh legs like Maeda and on the 45th minute. But I kind of hope it's not a case of like, oh look, I showed you, he's asking for this guy to play and he's not performing, and I'll bring on the players I trust. But I think no, I'm looking forward to Sunday, boys. I think Celtic will just kick off for the left, kick on with the left half against the Mankey mob, and I'm looking forward to seeing a few goals, wee bit more clinical finishing for Celtic, and bring it on. I can't wait.
No, I love that, and I think you're absolutely right. I mean, let's be honest. Hacksaw must be going like that. Whoa. I've not had any of those domestic starts that the rest of these boys had to get in the swing of things. You know what I mean? No wonder they're all playing with their tails up. He's thrown me into a Champions League away from home. That's my first start. I still got an assist. So I think Hacksaw's he's a must start for me. There's no there's no point in doing the hokey cokey with him now. In out. There's no point. You're gonna go if you're gonna think he's good enough on a crunch night in the Champions League to start the game, then I think it's only fair he then is given the respect to start, the following match, and no disrespect to St Mirren. In fact, fuck them, an easier match against St Mirren. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest.
Obelgard, Boise, would you give him a chance and put McGregor on number 8?
I like the question because right now, obviously, we all know who's getting the love in again. Apparently, he calmed things down last night.
I seen it today.
If I see him do that clip ball forward one more time, but I think he's okay. But he's not the future. And I think Abelgard fits the profile far more of what we were all talking about on the bus. Remember we were saying about getting in a number 6 and we were kind of getting slagged off. Oh, don't worry about physical profile and don't worry about that. Not an Ange type player. Well, he went and signed one, didn't he? No surprise there. I mean, and I think Abelgard, for me at 26 years old, Danish international, decent CV on him. I'm just looking at him and thinking, that's maybe more of a long-term plan than your pal getting fit for the World Cup, And that's the way I see it. But I do, my hunch is, if I'm honest, that Moy starts actually on Sunday. I think he will play from the off. I think there's a real love in there. I think the fans want him now. I mean, if he's in that top 3 midfield,
he's Australian, boys. See today, and that's they're foaming at the mouth for the 40 and another Australian getting a start for Celtic. I know I seen it today. It's embarrassing, you know what I mean. And I just a pity that our manager wasn't a Brazilian, because without all these Brazilian players starting for us, wouldn't we? or at least the hunger for Brazilians, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, there's definitely a doubling down going on with Moy as well. There's we can't accept it. Really, if it had been Neil Lennon who'd signed him, we'd be all going mental. But because it's Ange, we've got to say everything was amazing. Moy's okay. I would be far more compelled by the inclusion of Abelgard in the lineup, and as suggested, McGregor maybe playing one up and seeing if he's still got that goal scoring touch. Callum McGregor, to me, Connor, was a player under Brendan Rodgers who scored a lot of goals, was a natural finisher. And the only thing about his game now, you've got to miss that's been taken away from him, when it's obviously such a key attribute to have, is having an eye for goal. And I think McGregor undeniably has scored much less goals in the last sort of 2 years as when he burst on the scene. He really looked like this guy's going to get you 10, 15 a campaign. That seems, long ago, yet he's at the peak of his powers. He could easily play one up. I dare say, I don't want to speak for him, he might prefer playing one up. But I think it'll be Moy that'll play. I think Cal McGregor will play one up. And then I think you could take your pick. I mean, Hatate came off midweek, so he should be fully fit, ready to go. O'Reilly did he play the full game? He came off at some point, but he was fading, I think, a wee bit, to be fair. And then David Turnbull's chomping at the bit. And when he comes in, he scores goals. So I don't know. I think we'll see Moy. I think we'll see Haksabanovic from the start. Chaos, I would like to see from the start. I agree with Mark on that one. Any surprise inclusions or eyebrow-raising inclusions you can foresee, I should say? Connor? I nearly said foreskin there. That would have been weird.
I would like to see Anthony Ralston get a start for his first start.
Oh, me too.
Good shout. That's always going to be a popular shout on the bus.
Because, he was outside, I'd say, maybe Kyogo and Jota. Anthony Ralston was my favourite player last season. And that's because I think it's because he contributed so much, but he just fucking shut everybody up. Like, he just fucking stepped up to the plate and just went, you all think I'm shit, fucking watch this. And he just went and he absolutely bossed it in every game he played. I think he was he second in the league for assists behind Tavernier or something like that. He was up there. I swear to God, and he was a second choice right back. He was up there in the assists.
You better research that, big boy.
I could be totally making that up.
Take it to VAR.
Far, but no, like
I think
I
he maybe
swear to-
he probably got 7 or 8 assists, didn't he?
Aye, I think
He
he
definitely
played
did get a
pretty good.
decent
I think
amount, aye.
he got a good amount. He got a good amount,
Oh, he
and for
did.
a second choice right back, you know, at Celtic, that's pretty impressive. And he gave us so many big moments last year as well, and he was absolutely just chomping at the bit, and he was running through brick walls for the team and for the manager, and to really step up to the plate and to show everybody what he could do. And this is maybe a bit bizarre because of the games we had last season, you know, the good games with against Rangers, you know, at Celtic Park and Ibrox and stuff like that. But I swear, like, the game when I think about that epitomised last season was the Anthony Ralston winner at Ross County, because I went
Definitely.
absolutely mental when that goal went in, and you just seen him absolutely like, and he was getting the hell back to get like grappled and hugged by Cameron Carter-Vickers and that, which is no easy feat to shrug him off, but he ran straight through it. He go to the crowd and he absolutely just bask in the, you know, in the absolute madness that was going on with the fans, and just I think it kind of just summed his season up as well, and they also had, you know, good games that came after that, particularly, you know, even on was it the last game of the season against Motherwell? The ball over the top through Kyogo and just one touch finish.
Mhm.
That
He's
was
so
brilliant.
impressive, Connor. He's just
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. He's just
That's
so
all right.
impressive, and his numbers are far better than the best right back that Croatia's ever produced. And I'm sorry, Connor. I'm totally with you, mate. I think if there's somebody that I think needs a goal, it's Jack and Marcus. If there's somebody that I think deserves a wee bit of game time, as you say, it's Anthony Ralston.
I'll tell you what, this could be as much as Juranovic is a brilliant player and he's Croatian internationalist, and his pedigree is there for everybody to see, right? I genuinely think that Anthony Ralston can cross a ball better than Josip Juranovic.
Oh,
He definitely can.
Oh, that's
You're
my question, is it?
Preaching to the converted on it, mate. I know he can. I've watched him cross the ball. There's no two ways. Phil, we are looking obviously now at a Celtic squad. It's not a first team, but you know, we knew that anyway. Ange wants a squad. He's got the squad together. It's very, very interesting to see as and when he'll make changes to it and who's going to get game time and who's not. Some are going to need to be more patient than others. Tony Ralston being a case in point, Phil. But what we're going to get, I hope now that we're now in the thick of this Champions League campaign, is proper rotation and game time for players who, not just because they necessarily need it, but because we've got faith in the guys coming in, they can do just as good a job as the ones that are coming out, if not better in some cases, right back. You know, and that'll be the interesting aspect as we now we're about to find out, because obviously we played Real Madrid. But before that, it was Rangers, so we weren't going to be taking any, you know, doing much rotation there from what his preferred sort of 11 is. And then since then, there was no league game, obviously, last weekend. So it was Champions League to Champions League. The St Mirren one's going to be very interesting to see how Ange utilises the pool of players he's got. We've got strength and depth. Let's use it.
I think the Ross County Cup game a couple of weeks ago is a real barometer of where our depth is. In terms of like surprise picks, I don't think you could really class anyone as a surprise. Anyone that comes in is going to be that sort of second tier down. And what we saw a few weeks ago up at Dingwall, that team is more than good enough on its own to win the league probably. I mean, that starting 11 that night were phenomenal. So I don't see much issue if he does rotate a few more in, and we've definitely got the strength and depth. So in terms of any surprises, I mean, I think most importantly, I think Ralston's a good shout, and yeah, he's come in. The centre back pairing, he'll probably still stick with Jens and Carter Vickers, I reckon. When it comes to centre back pairing, you don't want to be messing around with it. Starfelt's not available. I would just stick with the two.
Keep Jens in there, mate. Keep Jens in there. I'm liking what I'm seeing for him. And I think you benefit for that run. Sorry.
Yeah. It's just in the middle of the part, as you said earlier on. You know, I'm actually with you. I think that Aaron Moy will probably start. Although my say on that, what you were saying earlier on about the doubling down that's going on it. One of the things that never seems to get answered for all these people that are saying that, you know, he's in our top three midfielders in the squad and he wants a starting place and that. And it's like, okay, so who is he going to play in front of for 30 plus games a season? And there's never an answer. You're going to drop Patati? No. You're going to drop the captain, Callum McGregor? No. You're going to drop Matt Riley? No. So it's always like they come up with this, but they never present a solution. And it's like, you'll get the occasional game here and there, and Sunday might very well be that. And they'll get the occasional cameo off the bench like he did last night. And it's a steady enough hand to do that. But I agree with what you guys were saying earlier on. It's like, some people are just going way overboard. You know, if the guy, what was he said a couple of weeks ago? If he goes shopping, he's the best shopper in the world and stuff like that as well. Some of the things that have been said, you know, it's like some over the top. But
You're not better than beat on.
But no, that's probably in the middle of the park. He might very well get a nod. So you could play Tumble again. It's going to be very similar to the Ross County game. And by the way, just breaking news for you as well. Hearts have just won 2-0 in their game away from home.
Good. I know people don't like the diet, you know what, as they call them. But I mean, at the end of the day, for me, I would rather see. Better watch what I'm saying here, man.
The only Scottish team to win a European game this week was Hearts. There you go. Bloody hell, 2-0, they just won.
I don't mind seeing a Scottish team do all right in the group stage football. You know, brings in more money to the league, make it a wee bit more competitive. They'll need to, because we are back to running away with it. Nearly at the hour mark. What else are we going to talk about?
What's few of the viewers have got to say?
Let's bring up some comments. It's a good idea. I'm always different. Actually, nothing else to talk about. Right. Stephen Haggett, good to have you in the bus. He says second place is ours, boys. I hope he means in the Champions League.
Aye, not in the
league. We're talking about Jota's position. Yeah, I seen that for someone else. Jota, effectiveness on the right to the left, it is night and day. But Hacksaw's came in as well, Mark, where he wants to be playing on the left. That's his preferred position. They were doing quite a lot of swapping over in that first half. It was actually almost like, well, how could they didn't even have a chance to see how they were going to get on against their opposite number, because they were swapped back that quick. It is an interesting one, that, because I also happen to think Maeda wants to play that left-hand side. I don't think he's as comfortable on the right. So you've kind of got three players in that position right now. Could Hacksaw potentially be someone that we're going to see playing maybe more centrally at some point as well? I think so. I think, maybe the clue was in the number 9 jersey. 3 players for the left wing role seems a bit excessive, but we also need to pick our best players on our best positions as well. You can't, just to get them all in there, try and just accommodate, the name, if you like. You know what I mean? Just to sort of make sure they're all in the lineup, but you're kind of putting square pegs in round holes. That's not quite what it's all about. Sometimes you're better having a slightly lesser player, but who is, that is their role. That's their specialist position, is playing in that position, than trying to rejig it. Obviously, we've seen with that England golden generation, all they needed was Alan Thompson on the left. That's all they needed. They kept play Paul Scholes there. It was utterly bizarre. Now, you knew Paul Scholes a better footballer than Alan Thompson. Doesn't change the fact Alan Thompson's better on the left than what Paul Scholes was. On a Celtic level, I think when we're seeing Jota on the right, he's not as confident. Hacksaw, I'm not sure about him on the right yet. The jury's out there. I think on the left, I've been very impressed. Maeda on the right, I don't think's as effective. I think he'd struggle, though, to get ahead of those other two on the left. Abada on the right, obviously a quiet night against Real Madrid, but we're not going to judge him on that. I just refuse to. He's a 20-year-old laddie, you know what I mean? I just think he's done so much more good than bad. But it is interesting, the wings positions now, isn't it? And how effective do you think it is doing the interchanging, or is there any preferred position you would have for them all?
I'm going to be honest with you. I've never liked interchanging. I think it looks pleasing on the eye. It looks like Neil Lennon was famous for it. It looks like there's a lot of jigging about, and it looks like, he's causing chaos. I think sometimes I'm watching the match and I'm going, right, fucking Jota's got his man. He's got his number. And then we'll have a ball from midfield and I'll get sprayed across to the left. I'll go, where the fuck's Jota? They'll be on the right. And I'm like, he's got a guy on toast. Why is he there? You know what I mean? And I think sometimes if there's a right back, a left back that's got your number, change it up. But see, sometimes when you've got when it's working for you, don't just change it and mush it about to make it look like there's just chaos going on in the park and who am I marking? I don't know who I've got. I think you're right. I think Haksabanovic, we've all saw his best bits on YouTube, and they've all been from the left. I think, as I said, when I watched him, the first thing I thought about was El Yunusi. It's the first player I thought about. A lot more muscular than El Yunusi. But
Yeah.
I was under the impression, but when he signed Boise, that he was going to be playing in that one-in role, almost Tom Ridgick style on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I don't know, but my only worry is if I try to accommodate the Haksabanovic in a position that we all kind of agree that he favours, I think you take a wee bit of Jota's game off him. I think you noticed the minute Jota goes on the left, he just lights up. He just sparks into his A game. And as you said, there's no point just fitting in good players into any position.
Yep.
Fit the best players into their best positions. If that makes some tough calls where you're going to have to leave some players out, by all means do it. Similar to what Phil was talking about, I'm pretty sure if Moy was of the standard that somebody had to be dropped, then that's a decision for the manager. Unfortunately, he's as I just said, he's near Beaton with a different haircut, albeit he's not got any hair. That's about it, you know what I mean? And no, I certainly think that Haksabanovic, I think he's quite a bad player. I've nailed my colours to the mast. I think sometimes there's a saying saying that you can't judge a player straight away. I think that's bullshit. Because the very first time I've seen some Celtic players, I thought he's class. You can only say a player can't be judged when you say they did a bad first impression. You say, "Oh, give him a chance." But see if you said, "Oh, that was his first start and he scored 2 goals," and then you say he's amazing, nobody will shoot you down on that, right? I think the minute I saw Haksabanovic, the very first thing I did was get the ball and run towards goal. And see, for me, that's how I want a winger, boys. And for me, it's probably one. For me, apart from the guys who've already got it, Jota and Carter Vickers who were there last year, to me, he looks the most exciting signing this summer.
Well, there you go. That is big words indeed. I mean, the competition that we've got, Connor, is rife across the team. We get that, and we can all sort of make cases for each of our favourite players, or we can make cases for ones that aren't in the team as much that we want to get in the team. I mean, I think that they all bring different qualities, and I think that's one of the things that Andrew's looking for every position, to have sort of yin and yang for the role. I mean, undeniably, I'm seeing a lot of it in the comments, Maeda, Kevin 14 in particular, sort of banging the drum there. When Maeda's came on the right, he's bailed out, Juranovic, because he's worked a lot harder on that right-hand side and he's covered him more. I think he probably had to cover Juranovic a wee bit more, to be fair. I think that was an area that, I don't want to admit it, I think it was an area that was targeted a wee bit again last night, the passes inside. And obviously, I think, to be fair as well, their star player was playing on that left-hand side, so they're going to be looking for him anyway. So how much it was targeting Juranovic or how much it was trying to get it to, what was his name? What was it?
It was like Muric, Murryck, I think it was, or Muric or something like that it was pronounced. I'm not sure. Muric, maybe, aye.
But he looked a baller anyway. And maybe that was the game plan, was just to get the ball to him, and it just so happens that's where Juranovic was. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, we've got these defensive qualities. There we go. But we've got these defensive qualities that the likes of Maeda brings, which sometimes you're going to need as well, particularly when another team's getting a wee bit more of the ball corner. But the wings position, we're well. We've got a lot of depth there. One of the other points was, you're looking at Kyogo, who was originally a winger brought in to play up front, becomes your talisman. You've got Giacomakis there, who unfortunately missed his opportunity last night, but I think it's been a bit of a revelation. Could Celtic still sign an out-and-out forward if none of these wingers can play in that up-front position? Could there be a striker on Angie's wish list for January already this early in the season?
I mean, could be. Possibility. To be fair, like, people, I don't know, I think people view Ange in either two very different ways. I think people either view him as in, like, he takes things one step at a time and he just concentrates on the next game, the game after that, and then he just goes at it step by step. Or there's people who think he's like some mastermind with like 10 aces up his sleeve and he's got 10 steps ahead and he's planned all this out. Now, I think he's a mix of both. I think he knows they're going to know what he wants. He's going to know where we need to strengthen. And I think he's going to have in the back of his mind, if we have a similar season to last year where we're hampered with injuries at a crucial point in the season, and we don't want to risk, grinding out results again, then he may be wanting to get some backup for those key areas. But I don't know. January's so far away, and that's just coming from me. So it could, but I don't know. Obviously, I'm no a psychic, and I cannot tell what I'm just thinking. I think he's also just one of those people you can never really tell what he's thinking when you're looking at him. So, although he certainly wasn't shy in his press conference recently, so he fairly had a bite there. But for a striker, I mean, I think I'd like to see one. I don't know. I don't know if we need another starting striker. I think maybe a backup, maybe another project signing with someone we could, like an Abada almost. But in the striker position, I think that could be a good shout.
Cool. I agree. I still think there is scope for a third choice striker. I know I've seen David Kelly disagreeing with that in the comments. Red Scotland, behave. Go easy, mate. Easy. But everyone's having a go at a guy called Tony. Tony loves the show. Go easy on him. Phil, Ange at the presser. He was a bit salty, wasn't he? Is that on the back of? Is that a man who's frustrated with the result?
Possibly. I mean, I've only seen. I didn't see all the press conferences over the day, because apparently the pre-match one as well with Jens and himself, there was a similar incident where the translator was asking him to speak up, and I'd seen a clip early in the day where he'd get asked a question in English, then you've got to wait for the translator to do their bit. Now, the question that was put to him in English maybe took about 10 seconds for it to be spoken to, but then the Ukrainian one went on for over a minute, and it was generally the point where Ange was sitting like that. So I can understand he's getting back. I mean, he's shown from day one he's not a press guy, and I've seen all the Rangers fans today on Twitter jumping on and going, "Oh, the mask's slipping now." Do you know who was another manager that wasn't very nice to the press? Brian Clough. He was generally one of the best managers all the time. They don't need to be nice to the press to be a good manager and stuff like that. Exactly. So it's not like part of like the. Well, Jurgen Klopp, whenever it does they go his way, he's an absolute arse to anybody that talks to him. Aye. It's not part of like their CV that they've got to be super nice to the press and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, he was probably frustrated about what happened in the game. Again, it was one of those ones where we've blown it. We lost a goal, we lost a bit of composure, similar to last week where we were doing well up to a point. And then, as Ange actually said in the press conference after the Real Madrid game, I was disappointed how they abandoned the game plan. And then you look at last night where we had a lull, but then we picked it back up again. Couldn't make it. So I can understand he's probably frustrated at the end, but yeah, it just one question too many. The boys have said to him, "Can you speak up?" or whatever it was, and he's had a go. But yeah, this whole overreaction. I think that Bob again are just looking to be offended about something. I mean, doesn't surprise me there.
Let's be right. Would you rather have a manager who stands his ground and maybe has a bit of a dig about him, or would you rather have a manager who stands there and whimpers and likes to complain that they can't compete because of the financial disparity?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, I actually like it, I'll be honest. I don't mind a wee bit of personality. I quite like fucking seeing him going, fucking shut up, mate. You know what I mean? That's what he was saying, essentially. I've got no issue with that. And see if Ange was as nice as what he came over as, and he was just, this big, cuddly, everyone's favourite cuddly uncle, you know what I mean? I'll be like, it's not going to make him a great manager. He's got to have that streak to him. And I just think see if it's been seen and they think, oh, that's the mask slipped or anything. It's like, well, if you didn't think he had that side to him, when he's just turned around to what he has so far, and he's been in management for 26 years, you don't think he knows how to tell someone when to wind their neck in every now and then. Think of the total amount of players that he's managed now. Think about the total amount of players he'll have managed. Think how many thousands, Mark. Think of the different personalities he's juggled. Do you think? Go on.
Do you know what I hate, mate? And I want people to just stop talking shite, right? See, I've never seen an ex-player, a close friend, a college lecturer, a school friend, anybody say Ange just took somebody by the throat or by the neck. See the minute there's a team get beat, or if that was Ange, he'd have him by the neck. What? Gotta stop talking shite. That guy never once came across as a violent person as an aggressive person. Just for your talk about his character there. Stop talking. You don't know the guy. Some of his best pals don't even know him.
Mm-hmm.
Guys who have been in his team dressing room for 10 years have said they've had 5 conversations with him in 10 years.
Yes.
Stop kidding on, you know the guy. You didn't grab anybody by the throat. Just wanted to get it across. Just stop talking shite. Because I'm fed up listening to it.
Did you ever see the open goal? I think it was one of the first ones he did, where he talked about on like a long plane ride, he'll sit next to a player and not speak a single word to them the entire time.
They call it the death chair or something, he says. He hates it.
He did that interview with Daff a bit recently. It was like the Q&A things, like, if we'd be stuck on a desert island to be one of the squad, who would they be? He goes, I wouldn't put them through that. He goes, because I'll just sit there and no talk to them. So...
Boise says he doesn't, so he doesn't get like, he doesn't start getting too close to any players, and it kind of screws his judgment when he's picking the team. So he says, like, on long plane rides, when he managed in Japan, Australia, whatever, he would be sitting there in his seat and maybe another player sat next to him. They could be on the plane for 10 plus hours and he won't speak a single word to him the entire time.
Wow.
That's hello. Just pass the juice, pass the food, and even look at them, he says.
Aye.
That's funny. I mean, I don't mind him having a wee nibble in moments like that. I think that character is required, and also I'm convinced that that's because he's pissed off at the result deep down, right? And he's looking for a trigger. You're almost looking for that trigger. In fact, I think we all experience it to a different extent. If Celtic get a poor result and you're sitting with your mates, and one of them, you're almost waiting for them to say something to wind you up, so you can go, shut your fucking mouth. That wasn't funny, even though it probably was. Do you know what I mean? And you're just being a complete bitch. I think Andrew's maybe just looking, just wanted to vent. He just wanted to show, like, he was wanting just to, get his hackles up a wee bit. And I actually genuinely don't mind it at all. I think that, sometimes a wee cutting moment like that makes absolutely no odds whatsoever. Tony, in beginning, I think, is just a bit of spam. So, Tony, I'm going to block you, son, because we're not having a 2-minute silence. No. Yeah, you just keep going on about it. But
thanks for subscribing, Tony, because in order to comment, you've got to actually be a subscriber. So thanks for subscribing, mate.
I'm just blocking him because I think I'm like, why the fuck would I be doing a minute silence on a fucking hour-long show on fucking YouTube?
I'm going to take a minute in Monday morning to reflect on the millions of people murdered and robbed through imperialism by the British government. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I suggest Tony does a wee bit of reflecting and his own thoughts about what this country's did all throughout the world. And start thinking about that before a 96-year-old billionaire lying in her bed with her family, how she passed. Not got a fucking interest.
No. Yeah, well, the Boise Bus definitely doesn't have an interest in any of that stuff. So we are going to absolutely move on because, Tony, it was nice knowing you, mate, but we don't need any of that shit in here, mate. Anyway, an hour and 13 minutes of the 200th show. It's been good fun. Mark got that off his chest. I like that, Mark, mate. Never miss you.
The judge has spoken.
Sorry, guys.
No, not
eventually.
No, Judge Kearney, mate, at his best. I think people will enjoy you saying that, mate. Anyway, we will call it a night there because it's been 200th show. We are back. Phil McGinley, talk to me about tomorrow night.
Yes, tomorrow night is the Stopping the 10 season 97-98. Yes, we'll be going back to that one. Vim the Tim. Obviously, Murdo next to him, and we get Brat back, Darren Jackson, Craig Burley, Paul Lambert signed that season. Mark Reaper, remember how good Mark Reaper was?
A reigning Champions League winner as well.
He was indeed, yeah. Borussia Dortmund were the reigning champions of Europe at that point. We coached them away.
When will that next happen? That we pinch a player from the reigning...
Paul Lambert up against Didier Deschamps and Zinedine Zidane in the final. There you go, but... Certain fans out there like to think that Barry Ferguson's the only world-class midfielder that's played in Scotland. So I can't disagree with that one. So, yeah, that's on the agenda tomorrow night.
Who's on the
lineup?
At
the moment, obviously, Liam will be with me. I have asked a couple of people, including Mr. Kearney here, but I believe he's committed with work. Unless you can make it, Mark. Do you think he can make it?
I think I'm going to have to get into work, mate.
That's fine.
I can't leave the guys... in the quagmire they're in, but I might change my mind tomorrow, mate. Listen, mate, I've got that spin. I'm a celebrity, mate. If I can't make it, I can't make it. See if I can make it. My people will call your people, right?
Okay, I will. I'll send you some notes over. You can have a look over. If you feel like doing it, do it. But yeah, I've
Right.
asked a couple of people, and everyone seems to be really busy and stuff. Because obviously it's going back quite a while. This one, so I need to take age into consideration. Too many youngins on the bus, Russell. Too many youngins, mate.
Too many youngins, mate. Too many youngins. I'm glad you're talking to me there, mate. I appreciate that. Anyway, we will call it a night there. Thanks to each and every one of you in the comments. Absolutely brilliant fun tonight, as always. Big thank you to Phil, as always, Mark Kearney, Judge Kearney, and of course Connor Carden as well. Brilliant input, guys. Here's to the next 200 shows. 2,000 shows, 20,000 shows. Doesn't matter how many shows. I'll never get sick of this. Good night.
Statements about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan.